Hey there, it's Mini Pots with another flip through. This time it's Snarl2025 Chrome Rangers. When I heard about this, I was very excited. Couldn't wait for it to get out. I'm still very excited about it. When I get a chance to play, I'm not so sure. But in any case, it is a nice, compact rule set. If you buy it, when you buy it from Wargame Vault, everything's included. You get two versions of the book. One you can print out like this. One you can print out so it comes out in a folio and folder thing where you hole punch it and that type of format. You get your robot sheets and you get your cards included with that purchase. You do not get dice, however, or miniatures, or a playing area, or more importantly, playing time. They are working on that, I am assured. Just by knowing those guys, they will do what they can so you get playing time. However, they can only do so much. Enough. What you are expecting is a flip through, and if that silliness bothered you, well, I gotta be silly sometimes. 3 kids, home all week because of the holiday. I'm gonna be silly all week. It starts out with this story. Yay, story. Whoops. And then what you need to play. 12-sided dice. I just grabbed I got these dice off of Amazon in a pack of, I don't know how many, 25 pieces. So you have at least 12 in there, 10 in there, at least. It comes with a nice little pouch. I do not have an affiliate link in my profile or anything, but do a Google search, not a Google search, do a search on Amazon if you wanted this exact same set, and you will get those dice. I thought cool color match, but I didn't realize that the numbers were different colors. Anyway, a 4x4 play area, card table size, pseudo mech model for each player, 5 inches tall, 8 inches tall ish, 100mm round diameter base, 9 pieces of terrain, small tokens up to 6 of them, and a record sheet, which you will have to print out, but you get that. Key thing that's not listed here is you will need to print out 2 sets of the cards, or you should print out 2 sets of the cards. They are, I'm assured that they are the Magic the Gathering card sleeve size. I have not cut them apart, as you saw, or maybe you didn't see, but just a refresher yet. My wife has a board that has the razor blade thing, so I can do it easier. I didn't have time to ask her. Anyway, TMI. Key terms. Goes over a list of key terms. Active player, armor, augmentation, defensive maneuver, defensive player, directly away, directly between, directly toward, offensive maneuver, piloting check, round, speed, turn, weapon. So there is, I think you're going to be doing, each time you play, you do a series of turns, and I forget the quantity. It will become apparent as I go through this. So, you roll for initiative. So purple guy is going to go first. You then go through and outfit your guy with the offensive and defensive cards. Your defensive player, bluish guy, is going to go and he's going to choose 2 offensive and 4 defensive. So the numbers, I think there's the same quantity of cards in the pack for both offensive and defensive. And each turn is the offensive player has a maneuver. If they have the appropriate, let's do a offensive maneuver. This is my first piloting check. Notice I'm on my character sheet. So the first check, I need to roll 5+. Easy beans. I rolled it 8 and a 3. So the opposing player, the defending player, I guess is the correct term, is, oh, I screwed up. I colored this one orange. But anyway, he's going to do this. Must have the same weapon. Minimum movement 0, maximum movement 4, so you can adjust a little bit to get better line of sight. They roll a piloting check to see if they do it. -2. They succeed. Both succeeds. Now this guy then would be able to do an offensive maneuver back. That's how it goes until a hit is scored, in which case you will, once the hit damage is assessed and it goes against the different spots that you have on your sheet. As damage is gained on the mech, it loses the ability to do certain things. Then also, ultimately, it begins to cost you more money to repair it if you're running a campaign. If you're doing a one of, it doesn't matter, but it's a win or lose. You knock off all the arms, or however, until your opponent dies, or the mech is destroyed. So a hit was made. Defensive player did a check, so it negated the effects of the attacking, and then damage. In this case, the defending player would do another attack back, and there's two different things that I'll get into in another second. So let's go. The defending player is going to do the rolling shot. He has to move his mini now 5 inches. He would do that. He does this. He does a piloting check, and he fails it because he didn't roll a 5 or greater. So it goes back and forth. There's a lot of action. I get the feeling, even from this short little, I don't know what I would call this, illustration, even though there's no mechs involved, that it would go really quickly. You just would have to know your maneuvers. There is a programmed or planned maneuver and then unplanned, and the planned are the ones you took, but you can do all the maneuvers in the card deck. That's why you need to have printouts of all the maneuvers for each player. Step 5, resolve damage. If neither player scores a damaging hit, which neither did, must attempt another offensive maneuver. So it would be back to him, purple guy, or her. Repeat this process until 2 damaging hits are scored in a round. 2 damaging hits. Then start a new round. Now it is listed in here that if no damaging hits are made for the entire deck goes through, it immediately goes over to the opposing player. Once 2 damaging hits are made, it would go from purple to blue to be the attacker. So then at that point, you would choose different cards. So I didn't think about that, but that could be quite time consuming for choosing the cards. But I'm guessing you're going to eliminate a few because you may not have the specific weapons that are listed on the cards. That would make sense. It's actually, you have a choice of, I think it's 30 cards. There's 9 times 4. And then last sheet is, I always get this one messed up. Not a full sheet, so it is 7. So 31 cards. $31, $32. My math is off. It is early. I won't be bothered in a couple more seconds by another child. Forgive me. piloting checks we went over. We gave an illustration of that. Now this is the cards list a minimum and maximum maneuver. Some of it's 0, some of it's... You must move at least that distance as if it's in the minimum part. And the mech may move beyond the minimum distance up to the maximum movement, listed on its own speed. Okay, so when you create your mech, you will have a speed and a armor value. And there's some key things in creating the mech, but I believe that's a little bit later. So this is an interesting layout. It gets right into the action. You know how it's going to play. You have a basic idea of what you need. You need to have your dice, your area, your minis, your cards, which it doesn't say, but you do need those. Although I guess you could work out of the book, but that's... And tokens for objectives. When you get the objectives, those are your points, and you could get advantages for getting the different objective. So switch goes. Okay, so this is when he discussed plan versus improvised maneuvers. Planned are the cards that you took at the beginning of the activation cycle, and that is the same for both offensive player as well as defensive player. And if you have all the maneuvers there, but if you choose one that you don't have planned, you get a... If this was a unplanned maneuver, an improvised maneuver, you roll 2d12 and you take away the highest one and you re-roll it. So there is a chance it could be higher, but generally speaking, it may be lower. So there may be more to it. Critical success. Anytime you roll a double, it's an automatic success. That's greater than the number that you need. Oh, actually, it doesn't even say that. It's when every time you roll a double. So if you roll 2 1s, it's a critical success. If it's an offensive maneuver, it causes damage, and you roll on the damage location table, which is later in the book. The defensive maneuver, you get a chance to attack, and you get a +1 bonus in their retaliation against being attacked. Start of the first round. This is the quick summary. You roll for initiative, and then you do your card draw, allocate your maneuvers. Now you've already designed your mech, but that's later in the book. Again, that confused me in this book because I expected like a character creation but in hindsight I like this better. It works. You find out if you're going to like it, and it flows. It does flow. And everything is repeated. So it's one time, second time. This is the step 1, select maneuvers. Step 2, active player acts, so he attacks. So this is the second time we're seeing this. And then it gives more detail. So everything's being drilled home. Step 3, defensive player responds. Now, if you get 2 hits, it automatically goes to the opposing player. So it switches from active to defend, or attacking to defending. And the defending then chooses his cards. You start the whole thing all over again. So resolves damage and switch. That's where it tells us that. And after damage is applied, you move 5 inches apart. So you are not standing. I guess that would be better if I did that. So if you're hitting there or whatever, you then now move at least 5 inches apart. Well, it says 5 inches. It doesn't say at least. Then you repeat the whole process. So it goes back and forth. And during each, so this is, if you're watching the old anime of a Gundam, you're going to be moving and zooming around the board. It's futuristic, so I imagine it's a combination of both normal boots on the ground movement as well as possibly some anti-grav or flying or using different things, which you have augmentations which can enhance your movement. So damage, determine location. So you roll 1d12, 11, then you roll, and that was on the right arm. And once you have all those spots taken, the arm becomes useless. If the damage applied to an area ever exceeds that area's remaining armor for any reason, proceed to determining damage effects. So these are, it's like a blade of armor then. You're being hit and the bits of the armor are flying off. So you roll a d12. So I rolled a 8. Serious damage. And this was on an arm. -2 all piloting checks with any weapon in that arm. Okay. You can also get explosive damage. Mech's controller chooses a weapon in that arm. The weapon is destroyed. And destruction, the area is destroyed. So you can see how you can whittle down to creating your mech. Now we're here. This is sort of the menu. This is the meat and potatoes to some degree. Or actually, the play is actually the meat and potatoes, but this is giving you what you're going to be doing the stuff with. Select weapons, select augmentation, select armor, and determine final speed. So you start with 100 points. Each one of the weapons, it's not outlined on, I was looking at maneuvers. Let me see. It's outlined on. You started with 100 power, and each time you choose a weapon or defensive or augmentation, you subtract the power. So if I wanted a Gatling cannon, costs 9, you subtract that from 100, so you're at 91. You keep on, and you get 4 per arm or an augmentation. And I know that's covered in here, so bear with me, I'll be getting. Then you have augmentations. They also cost power. And then you have more augmentations. Okay. You would have the cards cut out. You can lay them beside your mech so you know the effects of everything like that. So it gives the maximum 3 weapons augmentations per arm, 3 weapons per leg, 4 weapons augmentations in the torso. This means a mech can have no more than 16 total items. Weapons. If a maneuver requires a specific weapon, energy, you have to have that weapon type, at least one of them. Each weapon lists where it can be installed, and it does on the card. The entry lists arm or leg. Choose which arm or leg mount on, right or left. So this is like your E-Sun Flamer. Power costs, type of weapon, energy, location generally in the arm. They do have like Gatling laser arm. Hang on. Sorry about that. I am back. You didn't even know I left, but I did leave. I had someone knock at the door that I needed to help them with something. So this continues, and you can see the different locations, augmentations. Some of them have a usage limit. So compensators. Oh, that's cool. If you suffer a penalty, so -4. Okay, and that's in your legs though. Torso or legs. Anti-missile flares. So you have your defensive stuff. So you could do a whole bunch of augmentations and a couple weapons. It just depends. Oops. Then your armor. Light armor, movement adjustment, +6. medium, 0. So what is the base movement? Determining your final speed. Okay, so you take off all the power that you spent on your weapons and your augmentations and divide it by 5. So let's say you have 50 divided, so it would be a 10. And if you were light armored, so it'd be 16. Hang on, I might have to go check on someone. Let's see. So 16, and that'd be maximum movement of 16. And that is not per turn, that is per activation, sort of. Maneuvers goes over that. So this is where you don't need the cards, but you could see, I could see flipping through the book. That is a cool picture. That is a really, there's so much going on there. It's a little bit stiff, but that's okay. There's so much going on there. Oh, okay. Defensive maneuvers are covered. They do not cost anything. Excuse me. Generate basic scenarios, generate terrain, determine terrain conditions, secondary objectives, determine conditions, set up mechs, start up the game. Okay, so each turn, well, there's basic definitions of difficult terrain, dangerous terrain, cover, secondary objectives. You get 3 per player. You must come in contact with it during your movements. They don't need to stop at it, but you get in contact with it. And for each one that you claim, you may roll 1d12 additional, re-roll 1d12 on a piloting check during. But I think it's an expense, meaning that if you have gotten all 6, you can only roll 6 times. You don't get to do that every turn. So that's how I read the rules. I know that's nitpicking, but there are people that would go, ooh, I got that. That means that I get this bonus, because that's how I first initially read it. Then in hindsight, I sort of thought, I think that's per conditions. These are like your weather. So you'd roll a d12, unstable ground, all defensive maneuvers. And this is, so each round after the first, before the maneuvers are chosen, roll a d12. 7. On a 9 or higher, the condition ends normal visibility. So we screwed up. We rolled a 12. Ooh. So then we roll the condition, and it is none, no conditions. But let's say we rolled a 12. And down here, earthquake. Nope, roll twice. So we'd get both effects. So 8 and 2. So on a 8, all defensive maneuvers suffer -1 penalty to piloting. Setup. Then you set up your board. This is how it's divided. I think I'm going to be basically playing this sort of 15 millimeter size, playing on a 2x2, only because that is going to work for me a little bit better. And I am player concedes whenever the actor is choose to concede. Okay, so this is, you had your arms blown off. You don't want to see your total mech. You're playing a campaign. You don't want to see your mech obliterated. There is a concede, and of course, instead of you playing until the death, you honor that. If the game reaches the end of round 10 without either mech being destroyed, if this occurs, the player controlling the most secondary objectives is the winner. So that might not be true. It might be, you might get to use those secondary objectives more than once. Then after the game, your campaign, how you won, you get different rewards, how much it costs to build up areas, upgrades, piloting, skills that you would get. And that is it. Then we're into Death Wizards, but that's a different video. So, my overall take on this, it looks like a lot of fun. I'm excited. I have some Steel Rift minis. I'm going to give this a go. I have not finished painting them, but that's life. And we'll see what happens. I have plenty of glass little tokens or other bits that I can use for objectives, and I have some of their Black Site Studios buildings, the original set of them, to make terrain, which I think would work fine. In that set they had damaged or destroyed buildings as well as complete buildings, so you could have a variety. So my overall take on this is totally different than anything else that I've seen by Vince and Adam, but not unexpectedly so, and it is a great looking little game. It still has me excited. It still has me thinking about it after even reading it, and I'm just excited to play and would love to play it. So thank you. If you would like to see more stuff of this like this, please remember to like and subscribe. And I really hate saying this, but that's okay. That's part of the game. The dice, again, were from Amazon, and if you want to Tech Unite, 25 pieces. I got these for the original first game that they did, which of course, Rain in Hell? Yes, because it uses a D12. I liked when someone pointed out they did an average of what the percentile chance of you getting different numbers. And I like that better than the 10-sided dice, and it's different than 6-sided. That's why I got into this idea. And the 12-sided, they weren't horribly expensive, if I remember correctly, because I'm basically not the most willing to part with moolah for some things. And there you have it. Thank you again. Have a great one, and hope you enjoyed this and had some fun.